Are your kids spending too much time raging at Fortnite? Scrolling TikTok for hours on end? Have they started using poggers in general conversation? Well, we have the solution for you. Bring your children for a bite of fresh hot pizza at Freddy Fazbear's Pizza. Give them the slice that they really deserve. Wait, really? Oh, okay, never mind. Who even likes pizza anyway? All those empty calories, I say. No, what children really want these days is toys. But not just any toys, only the most lifelike toys will do. Bring your crotch goblins to Playtime Co. Toy Factory. Learn how all your favorite toys are made with a factory tour. Get up close and personal with Huggy Wuggy. Just be careful, he never stops hugging. But most of all, remember, no one leaves without a toy. So book your reservation today. Wait, that as well? Well, what's even still open? Oh, I know. Forget toys, those are so 1995. No, what children really want these days are exciting experiences. And what is more exciting than the classic American theme park? Meet Rambly the raccoon and all his friends at Indigo Park. The day out for the whole family. Take a ride on Rambly's train, watch Lloyd the lion on the main stage, and take to the skies with Molly McCaw. There is even a soft play area for the young whippersnappers. So don't delay, book your tickets now to visit America's most popular... But that too? Oh, for fuck...
Welcome theorists, it's time for another Tericho theory. Today we're taking a look at the newest mascot horror to smash its way onto the scene, Indigo Park. More like Indigo Peak, am I right? This is the latest horror game to ask the question, why do creepy things always happen to abandoned children's venues? We've had haunted animatronics at an abandoned pizzeria, living toys in an abandoned toy factory, now living mascots at an abandoned theme park. What next? Haunted VHS tapes at an abandoned blockbuster? Meet Be Kindy Rewindy! He hates spoilers. But just like all of the good mascot horror games before it, Indigo Park immediately comes running out of the gate with mysteries. Why was this park abandoned? How are these mascots alive? What the hell did Lloyd do to Rambly?
Ew, Lloyd.
Also, like most of the games before it, Indigo Park raises far more questions than it answers. The more deeply you delve into the game looking for clues, the more things you start to question. But what if I told you that Chapter 1 has already given us some major clues to the story? There are some pretty huge hints about one character hidden in plain sight, hints that might just kickstart our investigations into the series. And no, it's probably not the character that you are thinking. That's right, today I'm going to explain why you shouldn't trust Finley. So first, what exactly is going on in Indigo Park? Indigo Park was an extremely successful theme park founded by a man known as Isaac Indigo. The park was so successful that it helped build an entire empire, helped along by the incredibly popular mascots. Rambly the raccoon, Molly McCaw, Lloyd the lion, Finley the sea serpent, and although there seems to be no mention of them in any official marketing, Salem the skunk. But if the park seems familiar to you, that's because it's loosely based on the very real Disney World. But while Disney World is still up and running today, Indigo Park lays closed, empty, or so we thought. The events of Chapter 1 follow our protagonist Ed as he breaks in at night to gather footage for his videos. This is something he's done many times before. He explores abandoned places to show viewers what they look like after they close, as well as to gather insights into how they closed. But this time, things are very different. The park still has power for some reason, and very quickly, Ed realizes that the park may be closed, but it's not abandoned. Right away, Ed meets Rambly, or at least an AI version of him. This Rambly acts as the park's overseer and guide, and we very quickly realize that he seems to be programmed to make sure everyone at the park is having a good time. He monitors the park using the many CCTV cameras that follow you around, something he can even use to track your facial data. But if being constantly watched by an AI raccoon wasn't creepy enough, Rambly kept a much closer eye on the park's visitors than we thought. To get into the park, every guest and employee was required to wear a critter cuff. This nifty little device acts in a similar way to most modern smartwatches. It tracks your health data, your temperature, your heartbeat. All of this information is then uploaded and stored in the park's database. In real time, Rambly can track where you are, what you're doing, and how you're feeling. This goes far beyond security though. That data could be bought and sold, just like much of our data does today. This is mentioned in the gift shop when you collect your critter cuff. This is actually far more insidious than you might think. Most people would likely ignore this disclaimer, too excited to visit the park. But all that data being collected meant that Indigo Park knew what you liked, what you didn't, what you were likely to buy, what rides you enjoyed the most, and which mascots were more popular than others. This would have given Indigo Park a huge advantage over its competition. They could quickly figure out the most popular products and buy more. If a ride was less exciting, it could be redesigned, and the less popular mascots could be replaced. This in fact could be the answer to one of our biggest mysteries already. During our time at the park, it's made very clear that Rambly doesn't like Lloyd. He describes Molly and Finley as being his friends, but he never has anything nice to say about Lloyd at all.
Hater Lloyd.
Even though all of these characters have been designed by the creators as friends, aside from Salem, for some reason Rambly does everything in his power to avoid Lloyd. He skips his section of the train ride, and he tries to edit him out of any scripted scenes that should show him. You can often see Lloyd scrambled in the background when he's supposed to appear. So why exactly does Rambly hate Lloyd? Well, quite obviously, because he's jealous. Every single guest visiting the park had their experience logged. By using the data from the Criticuffs, Rambly AI can tell exactly what the guests enjoy the most about their visit. And something that the game makes very clear is that Lloyd was a fan favorite. Ed specifically states that Lloyd was his favorite as a kid, and if you collect the retro Lloyd plush, the only retro one in the game by the way, Rambly will go on a rant about how it's not fair that only Lloyd got one. Well, why did only Lloyd get one? That's because the company saw all the data about Lloyd being one of the favorites. Of course, they would make more merch of the favorite characters. Rambly is always shown as the park's original mascot. He is this world's version of Mickey Mouse. You can see his spot on the statue is almost identical to Mickey's in Disney World, and his likeness is spread throughout the entire park just like Mickey too. He also has the most merch. The park sells Rambly ears just like Disney World sells Mickey ears. He quite literally is the golden boy. So imagine how he must feel seeing all the data that shows Lloyd was becoming more and more popular. So popular that he even got his own stage show. The real reason Rambly hates Lloyd is that he's quite literally taking his spotlight. But the strangest thing about their interaction is the fact that Rambly says he cannot see anything backstage in Lloyd's area. The thing about this that just doesn't make sense is that there are actually cameras in here and they do follow you around just like all the other cameras in the park. So either Rambly was lying or the staff had revoked his access to the backstage area. Perhaps before the park closed, the staff noticed Rambly was getting jealous and locked him out. But this jealousy could actually be rooted in something deeper. As I said, Rambly is based loosely upon Mickey Mouse, Disney's most iconic character. But Mickey wasn't the original Disney mascot like most people think. In 1927, Walt Disney and his chief animator, Ub Iwerks, created Oswald the Lucky Rabbit for Universal Pictures. This was one of the very first Walt Disney cartoon characters to be given a personality. But due to Universal owning the rights to the character, Walt created Mickey Mouse as a character to replace him. It's possible that this is the major reason that Rambly is so paranoid about being replaced. If this universe has its own version of Oswald, then no wonder Rambly would worry about the same thing happening to him, especially since Lloyd is the only one given a retro plush, implying that he was the original. It almost seems like the company was retconning Rambly as being the original mascot. We might even have another clue to that in the train ride. If you look closely, you can see a picture of what looks like Rambly buying a deed from Lloyd, perhaps implying that they changed the story of the train ride being originally Rambly's and inserted Lloyd as now the original owner. It really does seem like they were trying to retcon Rambly as being the original mascot, and since Rambly was programmed to keep the guests happy, well, no wonder he would be jealous that Lloyd seems to be doing it so well. Perhaps the company was even getting close to replacing the Rambly AI with a Lloyd AI, which could explain why he's always scrambled in Rambly scripted scenes. They were in the process of editing them to make Lloyd the center character, and this deed was Rambly signing it over to him. Maybe the reason they locked Rambly out of Lloyd's area was to stop him learning that he was about to be replaced. But all of this does not explain one of the other major mysteries, why the park eventually closed. The company seemed like it was incredibly successful, and in terms of comparison, Disney World is still very much alive and kicking today. Now, like many of you, I've already theorized that this game had an event that was the catalyst for its downfall, very much like the accidents or bites at Freddy Fazbear's and the Hour of Joy in Poppy Playtime. But we haven't yet been given any clues about what this event was. Or have we? Remember, this is just a theory, but I think we have been given a huge clue to this already, and it was right in front of our faces. The most likely explanation for the event is that there was an incident with one of the living mascots. This again would keep Indigo Park in line with the other games in this genre, but we already know that there is something off with these mascots. Molly stalks us throughout the entire first section of the game, but eventually attacks us. We still don't know exactly what these creatures are or how they were created, but they do seem to be organic, definitely living. These creatures have the potential to be incredibly dangerous, and it's most likely that the incident involved one of them. But which one? I think the clues point to one of them being the most likely, and no, it's not Lloyd. After stalking us just like Molly, Lloyd attacks us in the game when we're about to leave the backstage area. Luckily for us though, our critter cuff saved us. If you look carefully, you can see it starts to glow and emit this high-pitched frequency when Lloyd gets too close to us. This is an inbuilt safety feature of the cuff, and it cannot be controlled by Rambley since he cannot see in this area. So the staff knew that these mascots could be dangerous, and they built in a safety feature to stop them getting too close to the guests or employees. Makes sense so far. But then how is Molly able to attack us? Well, if you play the Rambley Rush arcade game, you can see that Salem explains it all. Salem corrupts Molly by using a potion. They explain that Molly will now tell us what she really thinks of us. This is probably a metaphor for Salem in the park, finding a way to bypass this safety feature. They figured out a way to turn it off for Molly, so was Molly the one who caused the incident? Again, I don't think so. Molly seems to stalk us for a long time throughout the game, only attacking us in this moment. In the area directly before this, we can hear a very suspicious noise in the background. I wonder if this is Salem applying the potion, as it's shown in the game, right before we enter. This could even explain why Molly is suddenly dripping blood. Maybe this was caused by what Salem did to her. Or maybe this isn't even blood at all, maybe this is that potion. So if this just happened to Molly, I don't think she was the cause for the incident. But there is one character that we have been given subtle clues about right from the start. Finley. Right at the start of the game during the intro sequence, we can see a poster of Finley with one question attached to it. Replaced? Now I initially thought this could be related to what I was talking about earlier, perhaps Finley replaced a previous mascot. But that wouldn't make sense since Ed recognizes Finley from when he was a child. So what exactly does this question mean? Well, once again, the game contains the answer if you look for it. Finley's poster on Ed's wall is not the original design. You can actually see the original dotted around the game. This is definitely not just a coincidence though. Not only does Ed mention this in his notes, but you can also see that Finley's poster is the only one on the wall here that's been replaced. The new one doesn't quite fit perfectly in the frame, and you can see a small gap here. So why was this poster replaced, and why is that significant? If you follow the clues, the answer might be worse than you think. You see, if you click on Finley's plush, Rambley makes it abundantly clear that Finley is shy, or as he puts it, obnoxiously shy. That's why the marketing references him coming out of his shell. Finley himself talks about this when he describes himself as being incredibly lonely. But right after that, the ride talks about Oceanic Odyssey being closed for repairs. Well, why would it be closed? Likely because it was damaged in some way. Why would it be damaged? Because Finley is huge. Ed talks about Finley making him feel uneasy as a kid due to his size, and we actually get a very quick glimpse of how big he is at the end of chapter 1. We already know that the mascots are dangerous, but Finley has the potential to be far more deadly than the others. Large aquatic creatures kept in small tanks have often been the cause of human casualties. Just by the nature of Finley's size, there is so much that could go wrong, and in fact, I think something did go wrong. Take another look at these two posters. Not much has really changed between them, aside from this very obvious addition, a guardrail. Why would they need to add a guardrail here though? The same reason why Oceanic Odyssey is closed for repairs. There are two possibilities that I think are likely here. Either someone managed to fall into Finley's tank, or Finley managed to break out. Bear with me for a moment. Looking again at the newspaper from the start of the game, we learn that an incident led to the park being evacuated. This incident had to be a park-wide danger for the whole park to close and not just one area. As far as we know, all the mascots were controlled by the critter cuff safety feature, a high-pitched noise designed to stop the creatures from harming the humans around the park. But the critter cuff wouldn't be enough for Finley. If someone did fall into his tank, assuming there was an open area where people could view him, the high-pitched noise would kick in. Now, first of all, there is the possibility that the water would interfere with the critter cuff. Sound does travel faster underwater, but we don't even know if these cuffs are waterproof. But even if it did work underwater, that's still no better. Judging by how Lloyd reacts to the noise, it paints a terrifying picture. Not only would they be trapped inside a tank with a giant sea serpent, but now that giant monster is thrashing around. That's right, I'm putting forth my first theory for the incident in this game, the drowning of 2016. In fact, if you look at the newspaper again, you can see tucked right behind it is the original Finley poster. A nice little clue if you ask me. This actually wouldn't be the first time that the game's creator has hidden a clue like this. Remember what happened to Molly near the end of Chapter 1, and then go back to Chapter 1 and see this, which is now confirmed as a foreshadow by the creator himself. But if there wasn't an open viewing area, could this theory still be possible? Well, yes, actually. Looking again at the two posters, you can see in the first one the child here is right up against the glass saying hello to Finley. This is exactly what the Kritakoff is designed to stop. Someone got too close to the glass and the Kritakoff was activated. Finley went on a rampage, damaging his enclosure, possibly even breaking out. Once again, the park was evacuated and a guardrail was added to stop people getting too close. I think the poster being replaced was a rebrand of sorts. The company had issues with Finley with his image and with his safety. We also have to consider the possibility that Salem had already gotten to Finley. Looking at how Molly relentlessly pursues and attacks us once free of the safety features, imagine that same behavior, but with a giant sea serpent. Finley could have grabbed someone on purpose, whether that be a guest or an employee. There are hints that the employees didn't all treat the mascots kindly, and I am sure some staff would have had to get into the tank to clean it or for repairs. Perhaps Finley didn't just accidentally kill, perhaps it was on purpose. But if this is true, then why aren't there any news articles about it? Will we even get a hint for that as well? Ed's friend and co-explorer Laura tells him that there is absolutely no information about Indigo Park online. This is pretty odd since the company in the park were so huge. So why is there no information about it? I think that's because it was all covered up. Rambly AI is a highly sophisticated piece of technology. This company really wasn't messing around, and I'm sure they did everything in their power to keep public perception of the park positive. Any accidents like this could have been easily covered up. The CCTV images could be changed in real time using AI, and the company had so much collected data that it would be easy to fake. A death in the park? Oh, why officer, our biometric data here clearly shows the guest died of a heart attack. Oh, and here is a free golden Rambly plush for your trouble. Wink wink, nudge nudge. No, I think there being absolutely no information about the park's closure at all is a huge red flag. The game is clearly set in the modern day judging by the technology, so there would be no way that there was no information about the park unless it was removed or covered up. And considering that Oceanic Odyssey is still closed for repairs at the time the park closed, leads me to believe that while this might not have been the only incident involving the mascots, this one was so huge that the park couldn't recover from it. If this is true, this would lead me on to questioning exactly how many incidents like this happened, and just how much is there for us to learn in future chapters. But until we get chapter 2, we can only really speculate. My money right now is that the incident involves Finley in some way. There are just too many odd clues about him. Either that, or the living version of Rambly is way worse than we think. I hope you enjoyed the theory. If you did, like the video and consider subscribing so you don't miss the next one. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you next time.